Hey everyone, it's Schmuckles. Don't mind my hair, I just woke up. Today we're going to talk about the Terrifier franchise and some crazy news suggesting that Art the Clown's going to be joining Dead by Daylight. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. This was brought to my attention by Darth Cadis, and apparently in my Discord server, Poopy Arm is the one who brought this to my Discord's attention. So a big shout out and a big thanks to them for this information. There was a Terrifier 3 panel at CreepyCon. This was on September 22nd, 2024. In the YouTube video titled, "You Won't Believe What Happened at the Terrifier 3 Panel CreepyCon." I'm going to leave a link to the full video in the description below. Definitely check it out if you want all the information on this situation. On this panel was the actor who plays Art the Clown, as well as the two lead roles in Terrifier 2 and 3. It's Sienna and her younger brother Jonathan, as well as the creator of the Terrifier franchise, Damieon Leone. Damieon Leone was asked about Art the Clown in the video game space. He mentions Call of Duty, but he also says this.
But we're also seeing other things. I mean, I know Art's involved in, like, there's a video game tie-in. He's showing up in, like, Call of Duty.
Yeah, he's in Call of Duty, Funkos. I mean, there's so many cool, and there's like two really exciting things that are still yet to be announced that I can't say. One of them you're gonna go crazy for, so I'm excited for that.
For me, this is pretty much as close to as a confirmation that Art the Clown is in the works at Dead by Daylight as we're ever going to get. He mentions Call of Duty, then Funko. He's talking about third-party collaborations. So when he mentions these two upcoming Art the Clown video games, I really think he's talking about third-party licensed collaborations. The Terrifier franchise has a small cast and crew. They at first started out as a low-budget company. So what I'm saying is the movie studio that actually created the Terrifier franchise probably does not have the infrastructure to make their own Art the Clown video game at this point. And the fact that he mentioned two third-party collaborations before he talked about the two video games really makes me think he's talking about licensing Art the Clown into third-party games.
No hints? It's just, if I do, I'll fuck it up. I'll get in trouble.
And obviously in 2022, the Terrifier franchise tweeted this out, so they know that Dead by Daylight, Mortal Kombat, and Fortnite are the three biggest video game possibilities for Art the Clown. Dead by Daylight winning by a landslide. To me, this really does seem like Behavior Interactive and the Terrifier franchise are probably working on an Art the Clown chapter for DBD. Again, this is something that's not technically fully confirmed, but people who've been following all the theories and speculations and seeing fake leaks and real leaks probably agree with me that this is about as close as we're going to get as a confirmation that this chapter is probably in the works. I would have to guess Dead by Daylight and Fortnite are the two collaborations that he was talking about. I'm not sure which one he was saying the fans would be really excited about, because Fortnite is way more mainstream, but Dead by Daylight is probably the most wanted collaboration for the Terrifier franchise. And again, we're not really talking any time in the near future. This is something that's probably in the works and probably about at least a year out. Combine this with the tweet with Steve Barton that we saw the other day, and it seems like a really valid theory for what's going on behind the scenes is Behavior's licensing roadmap is actually really full, and they're going to work in Art the Clown as a chapter when they have space in their roadmap. Maybe they will time it with the release of Terrifier 4, because based on the success of the previous three movies, as well as what Damieon Leone said about the Terrifier franchise, there's going to be a fourth Terrifier.
Damien, do you know how many films it will take to tell this whole story? Like, do you have it mapped out? Like, we can tell this story in 10 films.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have said it before. I usually say it really will probably be 4.
So would they time the release of Art the Clown with Terrifier 4? It seems like it's possible. And Damieon Leone also talked about how Art the Clown's pretty much mainstream now.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the craziest thing. I mean, he's everywhere now.
Yeah.
More than I ever imagined. He's in Spirit Halloween, like Spencer's, Hot Topic, Party City, animatronics.
That's Mike Gianelli's baby. It's not mine.
So I'd say that this is pretty big news for Dead by Daylight, and Art the Clown's probably going to be joining the game sometime in the far future. It's not like this property's owned by a giant movie studio. Ever since the crazy success of Terrifier 2 and 3, Damieon Leone and his production team were approached by major movie studios, and he mentions this at the CreepyCon.
I would imagine at that point, Hollywood did come calling, and people were crawling your way, throwing God knows what at you. At that point, how did you navigate that? But still, like, you know, all these opportunities were coming, but is there a certain aspect that you didn't want to hand it over? How do you maintain control of something like that? Did that affect your decision-making process?
Oh, big time. I mean, after the movie came out, it was one of the coolest, honestly, weeks of my life, because I got repped by WME, which is a big agency in LA, and they had a week of meetings for me where I met with, I'm not going to say names, but like all the big Hollywood studios, and I got to go into boardrooms with presidents of these companies, which I am not used to. I mean, we are just amateur filmmakers. This is like a completely different world.
So the major movie studios approached Damieon Leone to acquire the Art the Clown IP, and Damieon Leone actually held his ground and didn't give up the rights to Art the Clown.
They were so curious. It was so cool. They're like, how did you do this? Like, what's going on with so little money? And a lot of them were very interested in acquiring the rights to Terrifier, the IP. But when you have conversations with them, I mean, they're bound by certain rules and restrictions, the studio system. Like, they have to present their movies to a ratings board. They can't release anything that's worse than a rated R. And to their credit, you know, they were trying to be as, you know, Terrifier friendly as they could be. They're like, listen, we'll help you push the R rating as far as you can. But then I started hearing things like, well, we have to appeal to a wider audience and we don't really want to call it Terrifier.
However, Damien also mentions how they would probably want to change things about the story and maybe replace some of the characters, which he really wasn't down to do.
Hearing those things, I'm like, you know, I'm setting up something, especially with part 2, that's very special to me, characters that are very special. You know, they might want to start replacing people. I'm like, I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing this to the fans. I mean, everything about this franchise has been organic and true, and we never needed marketing. It's just, if it's working, I mean, it's just working. You guys are, like I said, the popcorn buckets.
So the point is, Terrifier is owned by a small movie studio right now. This is the same independent filmmakers that made the original Terrifier, and it's not really owned by some major movie studio that might not be down to collaborate or give this IP to Behavior. We know for a fact these license holders want to work with Behavior, and the more popular and recognizable this IP becomes, the more likely it is for a Behavior Dead by Daylight collab. Another thing that I also wanted to talk about is if Art the Clown's brought into Dead by Daylight, like usually there's a big section of lore where they talk about the character's lore in Dead by Daylight, but a lot of Art the Clown's lore is largely unknown, and Damieon Leone is the only one who fully knows the lore. The actor who plays Art the Clown has been let in on the journey that the character is going to be taking, but only the creator knows the full thing, and it's going to be explored further in Terrifier 4.
Have you been brought in on the entire story arc yet as Art?
A good chunk of it, but I think he still keeps a few things close.
And do you like that? Do you like that element of surprise and not knowing and kind of finding it out?
Yeah. I mean, I know like the overall journey that we kind of want to take the character on, which I'm happy about. That's something we've talked about for years.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the first Stranger Things collaboration with DBD, where it was first brought into Dead by Daylight. Matthew Cote and Behavior Interactive were exposed to Season 2 spoilers.
It was fun also because actually we started talking to them about doing that before they released Season 3. So we actually got privy to a few spoilers beforehand, not too many, and we tried to keep it to a reasonable level because some of us, well, actually all of us, have watched the show and are kind of fans. So it was sort of a bittersweet thing to be able to peek behind the curtain on that one.
This is when they worked closely with Netflix to bring that chapter into DBD. And Matthew Cote talks about how they actually knew things that hadn't been released about the franchise yet because Season 2 wasn't released at that time. Well, the same could be true with the Terrifier chapter, where Behavior's exposed to some lore that's actually top secret and something that they have to keep hush-hush about until the release of the chapter. Maybe it's information that's going to be released in Terrifier 4. So what I'm saying is Behavior's actually had this experience in the past where they sort of have to be secretive about things that are going to be revealed later in the franchise. Something like this seems like it's right up Behavior's alley. We're going to follow the situation closely, and I'll let you know and post more videos if more information comes out about this. So make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. That does it for this video. Goodbye.